Okay, Tigger, thank you for joining me for this interview. So would you just kick us off maybe introducing yourself, like what your basic background was and your involvement with FASA and Battletech back in the day?
When I was younger, I was lucky enough that my uncle knew one of the people on the design team. And being as I was a big gamer, he introduced me to him. And being as I was pretty fanatical back in the day, like most kids are, he gave me a few opportunities. Like, here's some ideas. What do you think? You know, kind of
Right.
like a sounding board almost back in the day. So I took it and ran with it, and I did all kinds of things. Primarily what I did was a lot of cartography on the maps and stuff like that, finding out, the source books, well, this planet's name, that planet name.
Right.
But upon occasion, because of all the work I did, they allowed me to throw a lot of mech and vehicle designs at them, and they would, say, yeah, that's nice, or no, that's not, all the time. I wasn't the only one doing it. I mean, there was lots of people that were sending stuff in, but on occasion they did pick something that I did and got into a couple of the books.
Oh, right. So were you on the payroll at that point, or were you more of a kind of freelancer for them?
No, in no way, shape, or form did I ever get paid per se, but I did get a couple free books for the efforts I put in. They'd be like, "Well, you helped out. Here's a book." At the time, that I thought that was like over the moon, right?
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, people would be like, "What? No, 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 no! I want $22.95 an hour, or otherwise I'm not doing it." Right? But as a kid, I was doing it because it was a game I liked, and I wanted to see it go further. So I mean, if it required me to put some time in, I was all for it.
Oh yeah, it's like a dream job come true. So you started out doing the cartography things, and obviously you say some of the mechs, and the Piranha is one of those mechs that you created. So how did you come about with the idea for the Piranha? And this is for the build, obviously, not the actual art.
Well, because of the lore, the clans are very one-on-one. They're very elite warriors, and there was a few snippets of information saying that if a warrior had done badly or they get old, they get thrown out of the elite units and they get thrown into the Solera units, like second
Yeah.
line units. And there's, because of the way their ruling is, like you can do a trial of position, all these other trials. you know, I picked a mech that was not clan tradition, which it's not. It's meant to be a pack hunter. It's not meant to be one-on-one. And it was meant to give these warriors a chance to get into the action, throw themselves at the enemy, in such a vicious and violent way that they were either going to survive or die, because the thing doesn't have very much armor, but it's
Yeah.
fast as hell, and it's got a hit. I mean, if you ignore this mech, you will die. This is one of those ones where you have to pay attention to it. Like it demands respect, and you better give it, because if it can get up to you, you're going to hurt. And that's what kind of that was for, was to give these warriors or second line troops a chance to get themselves a position in a front line prestigious unit. I didn't think they would ever go with it, right? Because it's so non-clan, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But they actually took it and printed it. I mean, I didn't do the artwork or anything like that. I mean, I had an envisioned idea, but I'm not going to lie, this one was way cooler looking than what I had.
So was the art? So the way it was presented, was the art sort of created first, and then you were given a sort of brief, or were you just asked amongst others to come up with an idea for a new clan 20-ton mech?
Oh, that was it. I mean, I probably wrote and sent in over 100,000 vehicle and mech and aerospace and warship ideas. And then someone at the other end would open up the envelope, and he would either look at them or reject them. I mean, and if you're lucky, they would take the envelope and actually open it. I'm sure there's probably metric tons of mail that they would like, yeah, whatever, and they wouldn't even look at it, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I can't honestly say that all my stuff ever got looked at or ended up in the garbage. But I mean, every once in a while, I would get a letter back saying, "Hey, we looked at this design. We thought it was really, really cool. They would ask, can we have this? Well, hell yeah, you know, by all means. Oh yeah. And then, not every time, but every once in a while, like I said, they would send me a book. Oh well, we printed your stuff, and here's one of the first printings of the book. It'd be like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So I
that's
mean,
cool.
it's like crack cocaine, man. Once you get one, I mean, you just want to keep going, right? So I mean, the over the moon. So I mean, I would just go to town and just as many as I mean, I'd cramp those manila envelopes full.
So was the initial sort of draft of the Piranha that you sent off them, was that immediately accepted, or did they tweak it at all? Did they send it back to you and ask you, oh hey, we like that, but we prefer some changes? I mean, how did that work when it was accepted?
No, they took it. I didn't, like I said, you never know if they're going to reject it. And I'll bet you it was months. I'll bet you it was at least 5 to 6 months before they actually ever sent a letter back saying, hey, this is, really cool. We're going to use this. Do you mind? For changes, the only real thing that they changed was they added some lasers to it.
Oh right, so yours originally was just the machine gun.
It was all
right?
machine guns. I was up close and personal. But I mean, I get why they would put the take out a couple of machine guns and add the lasers, because it does give it a little bit more staying power, because it does eat through a lot of ammo.
Yeah, even on the tabletop, half a ton split between that many machine guns each is, yeah, it's not going to last you long, is it?
No, I mean, and all the other variants, those aren't mine. I made the original. That was it.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, whoever took it and looked at it, thought it was cool, and then from there they wrote up the lore, they made the pictures, they took it whole lock, stock, and barrel and made it their own, right?
Okay. So, given the nature, as you say, it was used as a pack hunter, which is very unclan-like, do you think the mech may have worked better as an Inner Sphere style mech because of examples of swarm tactics using wasps and stingers, or was this sort of your idea of the clan's attempt at doing that very tactic later on in the war between the clans and the Inner Sphere?
Actually, I actually based it because there's an adventure module in the early Battletech. I think it's Swanson's or uh, it's one of the first 3 or 4 adventures, and they would give you a layout of the map and then what the objective was and what the forces were, and they would have a little snippet of information that an author would write and put in
Yeah,
there.
I remember those on the left-hand page, and then
Yes,
the map,
exactly. It's be a paragraph or two, just kind of give it a little fluff and flair, right? Well, in one of the snippets, General had come up with an idea that take 12 stingers, wasps, or locusts, the really light mechs, and throw them at bigger units. You may kill a few, but they're always going to get through and hit you, right?
Yeah.
And because they're swarming, I mean, it's just massive amounts. And the idea is in itself kind of cool, because it would be a good way to weed out the recruits per se. But I mean, if you really think about it, the tremendous cost in order to build them and maintain them would be astronomically retarded as a military force. But I took it and went with it, not knowing as a kid, and went, hey, that's a really cool idea. Because if I put a whole bunch of guys there, I'm bound to have one of my guys survive, right?
Yeah.
And once again, it kind of fed into the idea that if I've got all these second line unit guys that are desperate. I mean, anyone that's part of the clan is desperate to be part of the prestigious warrior clan, right? I mean, you want to be top dog because they have the power, they get all the benefits. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, anyone that says they don't is a liar.
Yeah, because they want that blood name, they want that Omnimech, they want to get there.
That's right.
Themselves,
I mean, being able to walk around and say, I am, a clan warrior. That's something. So I mean, throwing them into that mech, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it wasn't really a huge tactical mech. I'm fast and I'm going to run up as quick as I can, shoot you in the back as quick as I can, or in the head if I'm lucky enough, kill that mech and move on. And if I can get enough kills and survive, then maybe, just maybe, my commanding officer will consider me for a trial of position, or a blood name or something.
Yeah, some kind of redemption for that pilot.
That's right, because if I fall in, because I'm an older mech warrior and may not have, been deemed worthy, or if I'm someone who trained out of the pods, and didn't score high enough, but high enough to be, you know, in a garrison or something like that, maybe I can prove them wrong in this mech and, do something of noteworthiness. It's that last chance kind of mech.
So do you think it was like almost in the same level of usage as things like the Hunchback 2C for older mech warriors, like trying to get that blood name, or do you think it was used less or more?
Well, for true, like, fallen mech warriors, probably not. But for second line troops who didn't become a warrior to start off with, but, was able to get into garrison, I think it would be more used by them as a way, because, I mean, it's totally reckless. I mean, to do the tactic now, it's reckless. It's senseless because you're just throwing mechs and, trained soldiers in. It's almost a suicidal last charge, right?
Yeah, meat grinder situation, yeah.
But I mean, if you were to say drop, 12 of them in behind enemy lines and say, hey, you know what? Go do your worst. Go harass the HQ. Go harass the supply dumps. I mean, this mech, it far exceeds and excels at that kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah, it's a terror against infantry and light armored vehicles and stuff. It's just brutal.
So I mean, I don't think it would be ignored for usage by the clans. It just would be one of those hush hush kind of things. Well, let's send that unit over there, and we just won't mention it.
So did you?
Because it's very unclan-like.
Yeah, but did you imagine it being used or created by a clan like Diamondshot? Did you have any idea in your head what clan you imagined would have built and used this thing in larger numbers?
No, like I said, I didn't write the lore. I just made the mech. But I mean, they had to write something to make it fit in, because I mean, if every other clan mech and the way it's designed, this is counter spin to what they're doing.
Yeah, as I was just I wasn't sure whether there was any kind of idea around like, oh, I imagine this would be a mech used by Ice Raven or sorry Snow Raven or something like that, But
well, as a House Wolf kind of guy, I would love to have been able to say that it was for them, but I mean, it didn't go that way.
Yeah, as you say, it's out of your hands. So given obviously the mech will now be January's 2018 is the first mech of the new year, how do you think it's going to perform in Mech Warrior Online, given the build that is already on there on the PIR1?
To be absolutely honest, here's the way I see it being used. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be for a player who's going to go in, do as much damage as they can, because they know they're going to die.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be used for a player who's just going to go out and try and piss off everybody else, because it's an annoying little mech. It's very, very fast. It's going to cause trouble, because once it gets into the back lines or behind you, you cannot ignore it. You just can't. You have to deal with it immediately, because he will rip through whatever you've got in seconds, and then he just moves to the next one and the next one and the next one. So I mean, it's one of those ones where he either runs out of ammo or you kill him.
Yeah, it's certainly up there with the likes of being harassed by some of the Locust builds and stuff, because I imagine this thing is also going to be quite small, so it's going to be difficult to hit.
I think most players are also going to do like they do with the Arctic Cheetah and stuff like that. They're going to get rid of all the machine guns and try and put on nothing but small pulse lasers or something like that, and make it a meta build that way instead of the way it was intentionally used.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, because given the Piranha's interesting history, as you mentioned, it being used as this sort of last chance mech for a lot of people, for it to be turned into some kind of ER large laser using light just seems kind of wrong, I guess, for the mech and what it's unique for.
Well, it definitely won't get as much, damage. I think if you were to leave the machine guns, maybe even get rid of the... Originally, I had more machine guns and a lot more ammo.
Yeah, bet. I mean, that's what I'm going to try and do in mine, and I'm going to try and cram as much ammo into it to use those machine guns as much as humanly possible.
Plus they had case, right? So Originally that had case built into it.
That's a lot for the frame.
Yeah, but I mean that was kind of the intention. All the ammo was in one spot in case. So I mean, if you took it out, you know, that's why I didn't put a lot of armor on it, was because you're either going to use up all the ammo or you're going to die, right?
Well, that's all the questions I got for about that. So thank you very much, Tigger. Thank you for your time and sort of insight into that. And thank you everyone for listening on the channel. It's been pretty good. Thanks again, Tigger.
Have a good evening.
Right, bye.